Hope is something that always keeps us going. It gives us a new lease of life constantly. I was someone who brings new hope to people who experience hopelessness in their life. Welcome to Wordnet. I am Father Sony Sebastian. Nice to be here to have a beautiful discussion, dialogue with someone whom I know. I cannot claim that I know him, but I know his dad, Russell Degnan. Russell, welcome to Wordnet.
Thank you for having me here, sir. Thank you so much.
You know, you're doing a wonderful job, as I mentioned in my little teaser, bringing hope to a lot of people, especially the youth who have lost hope in life, or who do not have, let's say, confidence in life, as they move ahead. With a program that you have or that you have begun called Operation New Hope, and you are the CEO of that movement and the organization and the program. So thanks for coming to Wordnet, and thanks for sharing what you are doing. But before we get into, you have that even on your t-shirt, Operation New Hope. Before we get into what Operation New Hope is, I would like to know a little about your own person and what led you to begin this program. Please.
Well, Father, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to share. I was blessed to be born into the family that you met my father, Bill Degnan, and Ann Degnan. I grew up just like most young people. That's my dad. And so I'd have to say he inspired me. But there was moments in my life where he didn't know what he was talking about, and I didn't really believe in my Father Jesus Christ as well. So unfortunately. But fortunately, I had to walk my own journey and fall on my knees. My father, thank God, chose sobriety. My mom was up to her ends meets with her in 1978, and he chose to listen to Jesus Christ and be a present father and not leave us with my mom by herself. He chose sobriety. So I knew that about my father growing up. Didn't see him drink alcohol. But for myself, I did. I went through a journey and found myself doing things I shouldn't have. But as one of my father's great employees, Doc Ellis, called me up in 1995 and knew I was messing around in the Oakland, California streets, where a white boy like myself shouldn't be. But he had said, he said, you're going to school. You're going to the streets of hard knocks. And so what inspired me is, unfortunately, making some poor decision. And by the grace of God, I didn't have to experience what some of my youth had to experience and be incarcerated. So long story short, a little bit of me, I had to fall down, find out that my parents were teaching me some right paths. And I had some good people around me that were praying for me. And that's really why I'm here. I went through some school at Valley College here in San Bernardino Valley College. Went there to get my human service certificate. But God's been guiding me the rest of the way where we're at today.
You said you were in Auckland, on the streets, a white boy where he should not have been, and you're messing up your own, life. But what made you move from Auckland all the way to San Bernardino?
Almost homelessness. I spent my night before, basically had to come back home. What I never wanted to do. I remember I have two older brothers, both beautiful guys. We're on the right track. They're not perfect, but they're both sheriffs up in San Luis Obispo County. But my oldest brother when I was in high school, came to live back at home, and I would make fun of him, like, what are you doing? And so it was difficult to know that a DUI, drugs and addiction had brought me and my roommates we had, I looked around, I didn't have any more roommates, and I couldn't pay rent. And so mom and dad bought me a ticket. And that night when I was gonna fly home, I experienced the streets. And I wanted to go back because I was an addicted young man, but God had a different story. And I'm still here. So I moved here in 1997, begrudgingly, thinking I was going to come and use them till I got some money and go back and be that little white boy that I thought I was. But again, God had a different story.
You know, this is like every person, we have to go through sometimes certain kind of experience. You know, when you mentioned right now, the first person, very strong personality that we have in the Bible, or especially in the New Testament, that came to me is Saint Paul. Saint Paul was a very strong personality. He was a Pharisee. He was a persecutor of Christ. Now, when you shared that your experience, that's the first thing that came to me. Sometimes God has to hit us hard.
Yes.
We have to face that rock bottom experience in our life to bounce back. And I think that's what you did.
Yeah, absolutely, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I even share this with some of our staff, and even our young guys that I've been working with since 1996. You know, we start working with them when they're about age 15, some up to age 24, but when they're 15 and 16 and 17 and 18, they haven't experienced what you just shared. And the slogan that the young men created, changing lives one step at a time, really has that context that you just shared. Is unfortunately, but fortunately, God gave us the power of freedom, and I think that's part of that relationship development He wants to encounter with us.
Russell, I've shared it very many times in my homilies, and you're going to laugh at me. I sometimes think that God made a mistake. You know, God cannot make any mistake.
No. So I'm
He's
listening.
a perfect, absolute perfect. We cannot even say human, person or individual is much beyond. But that is our limitation of our language and expression. But He's a perfect entity or being.
Yes.
But sometimes I feel He has made a mistake. Mistake with me.
Okay.
And the mistake that God has made with me is that He gave me freedom. He left me with the freedom, and because of that, I do things that I want and I make mistakes. Because that's what I sometimes feel. If I did not have that freedom, then I might not have made all these mistakes that I constantly keep on doing. So that's, I think, you mentioned about the freedom part.
Yes.
We are all created or given, created in His image, given that freedom. But He has given us an intellect, so also a conscience which should make us discern between what is good and what is bad, and we make mistakes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And especially, as you said, in that age of, let's say, teenage kind of situation, we think that we know everything.
Absolutely.
Now, I shouldn't be talking a lot. You
No,
should
hey,
be the one
no,
talking and
hey.
letting us know what you're doing. So tell us, after you have gone through that experience, your own personal, let's say, conversion, change, what led you to this beautiful program that you call Operation New Hope?
Yeah, so I can't take credit, and I think even my father and mother will give glory to God for His divine work in creating Operation New Hope. I really believe we're doing His work. But Operation New Hope was founded by my father, Bill Degnan. My father volunteered at a place called the El Paso de Robles Boys School, and that was the California Youth Authority. a place where young men in the 80s, when they were convicted of a felony, they were placed in jail. And so you had these 50 young men, my father being a recovering addict, and another counselor that my father hired, Doc Ellis. So basically 52 broken men trying to create hope and create a new path of their life. They founded Operation New Hope through their traumas, through their, they thought they were there for addictions, but my father helped them understand that there was a root cause to who they were at age 18 or 20 or 22, and it wasn't just drugs and alcohol. It was pain and trauma. Nowadays they call it trauma-informed learning. So that's our first approach, is to meet them where they're at and help them just to start understanding where this pain and this anger comes from.
We are going to take a short break right now.
Yes, sir.
I know you mentioned a few things like pain and trauma, the cause of pain and trauma. So also you were about to use an analogy of an onion. We're going to come back to that, and I want to, dwell on that a little more. So also what the programs, what the different kind of probably the modules and the situations that you have. So hold on with all those thoughts. We're coming back after a short break. Please stay with us. You have a lot more interesting things coming up.
Do you want to fall in love with God? I'm sure we all want to. The book of Psalms contains the directions. Thousands of years ago, people like you and me talked to God out of the depths of their hearts, revealing an intimate love. Psalms are the expression of the faith in God by people around 3,000 years ago. God was not a mere abstract creator, but was present, involved, and a real person of power and emotions. Now, when we read or listen to the Psalms, we can know the intensity of this love. Entering into the influence of the Psalms, we can find a path to know and love God. To know more about the Psalms, you should get a copy of Father Mike Manning's booklet, The Psalms. It will help you to understand the 150 Psalms better as he has categorized them. He uses the technique of acts: adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. Get your copy today and know the categories. Learn to pray with the Psalms.
Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also get it through our website. Get your copy today.
Welcome back. We are having this wonderful discussion with Russell Degnan, who is the CEO of Operation New Hope, which brings new hope to youth, young people who feel hopelessness or who feel that they are lost in that beautiful phase of their life. Russell, we were talking about, you mentioned about the youth going through this trauma, pain in their life. So also you mentioned about the cause of all this pain. What do you think, after having worked for many years with this group of people and having this movement or this organization called Operation New Hope, what do you think is the cause of all this trauma and pain, especially for the youth?
Unfortunately, it's broken homes, and I would translate that to education. And I've shared this several times, and I've been blessed to sit in a table where decision makers and they've brainstorming sessions, and those questions will be arised. And I know sometimes the answer I'm going to give right now may sound like it may affect our program funding wise, because unfortunately life is about money, and that the sustainability is critical. But I really believe it's common sense, and my mom shared this with me in 4th grade. Common sense is not that common, son. But it's education, and unfortunately every family is dysfunctional, every family. But the data and the research shows where the poverty and all those negative outcomes are in these cities. And if you look at some of the root causes, is there's a lot of young moms and dads having kids. And even if they're not young, even for myself, are we ready to be a parent? Myself, thank God I had two parents. I didn't have to go through a divorce. We had our problems. They made through it. But unfortunately, many of our families, through freedom of choice, and if we brought opportunities of this same model to those moms and dads at pre-K, and we're teaching the kids about healthy decision making and emotions, and also taught these parents parenting skills, how to parent, I don't think we'd be perfect, but I think that we would see the incarceration rate come down significantly. So my answer is helping them younger.
I do believe that parenting, or the basic, or maybe one of the basic aspect of parenting, is not just providing the children with everything that they want, but rather, making them decide and choose between what is good and right. The
Absolutely.
proper discernment process.
Absolutely.
Because you can provide with everything. If they are not able to be, if they are not growing up as responsible citizens
Absolutely.
of the society, responsible members of the society, I think our parenting is of no avail. That's one. And secondly, you also mentioned about dysfunctional family as one of the basic cause of this pain and trauma and suffering. I have told many people, couples, those who come to me sometimes, and I know it is not as you mentioned also, it is not going to be a pleasant statement that I'm going to say. Every divorce is an outcome of a selfishness of two individuals.
Yeah.
The selfishness is because they are not able to give, do a small amount of sacrifice very often.
Yeah.
Marriage requires sacrifice.
It does.
Family is built on forgiveness, sacrifice, and that is the two elements which constitute the love as well.
Absolutely.
So I truly and totally agree with you. You were also mentioning about the analogy of onion, before we took the break. I know peeling an onion is a painful moment, right?
Yeah.
What happens when, you tell me that.
Well, I experienced a little bit, but yeah, those tears start flowing,
Yes.
right?
You tear up.
Yes.
But when you go to the core of the onion, you have the soft, tender, beautiful part of that onion, and that is ourself as well,
Yes.
which is very tender and is pure love.
It is.
How do you make a person that come to you to go to that moment, that realization?
Amen. And I believe it's, we don't make it, we help guide them, right? We have to go through the process, much like you said, right? Like Paul, right? Like unfortunately, Jesus is always with us. We just have been hardened or tune him out, and he puts some things in your way to maybe the analogy of the guy drowning in the ocean, right? You missed. You may have been just a little wood drift, right?
Yes.
But you missed that, right? And so that's part of the process that our young folks have to experience. For us, they've come already this onion that's hardened, right? And it's how guiding them in with awareness, right? Group counseling is so beautiful, right? And our group counseling format is my staff does an amazing job. And there's different ways we all learn, right? Not everyone wants to share in a group setting. So we have spoken word, writing, journals. Some people want to express that way. We have artistic, art therapy. And so there's different variations that we help them peel that onion and give them those opportunities. But the number one is and I would hear this in my father, it's fair, firm, and consistent. Consistent being number one. many of our young people have not had consistency in their life.
Now, tell me more about Operation New Hope and what are the programs that you have.
Yeah, I do want to highlight Operation New Hope is an evidence-based curriculum. We're found on the Office of Juvenile Justice Delinquency webpage. Just 2 years ago in 2018, the state of Connecticut's family court had purchased our curriculum. I flew out there and trained social workers, probation. Last year, King County in Arizona purchased our curriculum. So the foundation and the secret ingredient is our group counseling that my father and the young men developed. Now we call it trauma-informed, but cognitive life skills. So that is our main service. And so I've been blessed this last 2010, San Bernardino County Workforce Development Department funded us and provided now that holistic piece that these young men need. Yes, we can help them stinking thinking, right? We want them to get out of the stinking thinking. But if they don't have money in their pocket, and young ladies don't have money in their pocket, we're going to resort to ways to make sure there's money in my pocket. And now they don't get out of that stinking thinking because they got to survive. Well, with the San Bernardino County Workforce Department providing that Department of Labor Workforce Career Pathway Program, now we could add more hope to them, because money and hope, it can bring some evilness, right? But through teaching them wise ways of thinking. So we have workforce development dollars through the San Bernardino County Workforce. We have probation contracts, so we're servicing first-time offenders through diversion programs. We're inside the institution, touching them while they're inside. If you can have a relationship while they're inside, when they come out and they know of a program.
Do you also have de-addiction programs?
We have addiction programs. We have food programs. Every Monday here in San Bernardino at 323 West 7th Street, we have a partnership with San Bernardino CAPS where we have a mobile shower unit.
Yeah, I was going to
yes,
ask,
sir.
tell me more about this mobile shower. Do you also have a mobile laundry facility that you operate?
Yes, so I'm big on collaboration. We've grown to who we are, having youth opportunity centers, one in San Bernardino City, Rancho Cucamonga, and 3 in the High Desert.
Wonderful.
Through collaboration. So to answer your question about the mobile shower unit, I mentioned San Bernardino CAPS, Community Action Partnership. Well, that mobile shower unit is actually funded and spawned through IEHP, Inland Empire Health Partnership, right? And so IEHP created this beautiful mobile shower unit. Well, next month they are adding the mobile washer dryer. And so every Monday, like I stated, from 9 to 2, started off with about 6 individuals that were coming. This last Monday there was 20 that came and got the services. And it's not just people that are on the streets sleeping. Yes, we need to help them out, but there are so many people living in the cars.
When you say mobile service or mobile unit, are you also able to bring these mobile units to different locations and provide the service to the needy people?
Yes, sir. Through our partnership, I can connect the San Bernardino CAPS team, who that is their goal. IEHP's goal is to help service and hit their numbers.
Russell, when in the makeup room while we were discussing, you told me about this particular beautiful presentation done by one of your own participants, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain a little more about this?
Yes, that's actually before the workbook was even really created. This is 1980 artwork. And if you look at the bottom, is where the first book, we have 3 workbooks. The first one focusing on that emotional aspect of a young person, how to deal with their emotions, starting to establish, kind of more values in themselves and what are values. And so when the young men and my father were going through the program, they called it the pit, and that was their cop-outs, their excuses. I'm here because I'm angry. I'm here because of loneliness. I'm here because of envy, jealousy, despair. And so if you look, it is at the bottom, you have this young man or this face that has this sad, mad look, and it says chemical thinking. And at the top, you have that rainbow look and the sunshine. That's Jesus Christ. And we help them walk through this process. The balloons are awareness, a support system, understanding about healthy eating, health and decision making. Eventually, as we help them peel that onion, that soft core that you stayed in, Jesus is there, and they finally start seeing that. Now they have this new belief system in themselves, new belief system in their society, knowing that it's not perfect, but that through this support system and awareness, now they can see love, they can see hope.
Russell, one last, I know in many of your facilities you have been helping a lot of youth. Do you have any statistics with regard to how many people you might have helped so far, from the incarcerated, from the foster home, on different levels?
Yes. Ironically, I'm the grant writer, and so I actually just submitted a grant yesterday. So data's kind of fresh in my head. I don't know the overall since 1980, but it's in the 50,000s of lives that have been changed positively, and beautiful things are happening. I mean, I get calls, and we got a guy that flies for JetBlue. We got guys that are building our freeways, that are working for the iron workers, making more than myself. Women that are nurses now, and it's just so beautiful. But in the last 3 years, every year about 500 youth we service. The last 3 years, it's 1,400 youth that have gone through our program. 33% are from the institution. We call them returning home, the reentry population. The 16% were considered homeless. I will applaud our staff. In our last quarterly report for the last 3 months, we had 8 youth come to us homeless. They're all housed in a place safe and going to be on a way to transitional living. So 16% are homeless. 33% come from the institution, from probation. Mothers, we have 61% that are women. That fluctuates, but for some reason we do tend to be on the higher end servicing women, young ladies. But out of that 61% of the females, it's 28% are mothers. So we work with a lot of mothers, and again, we'll highlight it's ages 15 to age 24. No charges, free. Come as you ready, and the door is always open and ready for you.
Thank you. Thanks for what you're doing.
God bless you. Thank you.
Keep touching the lives of people who need that touch.
Thank you.
We all need it,
Absolutely.
one or the other phase or time of our life, so do it. And thank you so much out there to all of you for watching this program. Hope you have benefited from the sharing that we had with Russell. Let's all bring hope to people. We all need hope, and it is that hope that keeps us going constantly. May the blessing of the Lord constantly be with you, and the love and hope that Jesus brought to the world keep us moving ahead. Blessings, and keep safe.
Amen.